people, look what we got in store for today. I was able to get my hands on one. Yes sir, yes ma'am. Look at that. Actually able to get my hands on a 6th element intake as well as a turbo inlet. So I'm going to do a quick vid and show you all how to install this. From what I can see, looks like it's pretty self-explanatory. All it's going to be is just removing the filter box, which those are pretty easy. This actually is not going to be using the recirculating tube from the blow-off valve, so it's kind of hard to see way down there, but we're going to be taking that off as well down there. And that is going to be the pain, this new turbo inlet right there. So that's going to be easy. There's a bolt kind of over here, and then one in the back. That's going to be the tough one. But other than that, that should be pretty easy. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the air filter. Just these 4 little clips. Take the cover off. Pull that out from the filter. Pull this off. And then there's 1, 2, 3 bolts holding this in, as well as this screw right here. And then we're gonna have to take this clip off. There's a couple clips up here as well for the vacuum lines. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started on that. So far, taken out 1 bolt here, 1 bolt here, 1 bolt there. Have this screw here. We're gonna have to pop these little plastic rivets out to undo the snorkel from the filter box. It doesn't look like there's any more bolts holding this in, but we'll also have to take this hose off. This is the recirculating hose that goes to the blow-off valve. We're gonna have to remove those 2 vacuum lines as well. So let's remove this clip right here. This is the one, the recirculating, or the tube to the recirculating blow-off valve. Just pops right off. And then we're gonna pop these 2 rivets out right here. So you push these in, and then it comes out from underneath. These little tiny pop rivets, plastic pop rivets. And the whole thing's kind of coming apart. Just pull the whole thing out. Go. There you go. There's your whole filter box right there. So now what I'm going to do is I got this vacuum line and this vacuum line. We're going to take those 2 vacuum lines off. And now it's kind of hard to see. It's kind of back underneath this flashing right here, but there's another screw almost exactly like this one right here that you're going to have to undo. It's the intake hose. So now, as I was saying before, this is going to be the challenge. So our new turbo inlet is going to be replacing this smaller turbo inlet. Down here, there's a bolt there. Obviously that one's easy. There's a bolt way over here. It's hard to see. Sorry, can't get a good shot of it, but there's a bolt there, and then there's one behind. Looks like that's for the wastegate, an oil line, or sorry, not the wastegate. That's just an oil line for the turbo. So gonna have to figure out how to do that. Yeah, so that's gonna be a bit, but then this is where the filter box came out of. There was one bolt here. That one was kind of a pain. You're definitely gonna need a extension for that. I have a 12-inch extension that I was using. And then there was a bolt here, and then there was a bolt here. These two super easy to get out. This one, like I said, was kind of a pain. And then down here, this is the hose for the blow-off valve. So we'll have to undo that down there, yank that off, because this one doesn't need it. So you'll get some blow-off valve noises, but this is the stock one down here, so it's probably not going to be as prominent as others. So let me figure out how I'm going to do that, and then we'll be right back. All right, so figured it out. At first, I was going to start with this, an extension U-joint long socket, but the problem is you can't move this oil line right there. Can't move that enough because the bolt is right there. It's right behind it, and you can't move this thing enough in order to get to it. So what I wound up doing is I was able to get 10mm box end wrench. Now luckily these bolts are not like super on, because you don't have any space back there to get it. So essentially what I did is I took this, right? Let me make sure, okay. And had to wedge it back here underneath this oil line, and then just kind of loosen it off. Now I already loosened it enough, so now I can, you know, just do it by hand. Except now I can't get my wrench out. So like I said, anyway, I was able to break it. So now, see, these are not like super tight at all. Like I was just able just to, you know, do it a little bit like that, and I mean it's already loose. It's already starting to come off a little bit. So if you got a better way, let me know. That's the best that I could do it, but it's going to be a pain in the butt. But see, like now, see, I barely even broke that, and it's coming out right there. So I'm gonna get the rest of these bolts out, and then we'll pop that inlet off. All right, everyone, success. So there's the stock turbo inlet. Look at that, that's crazy. Look at that blow off. Like I installed my 6th Sense one, like, I don't know, like a few 100 miles or whatever, you know, right after I got it. This was in the winter though, so it would make a little bit more sense. But oh my gosh, look at that. Are you kidding me? Just a little bit of time. Look at all that blow off. Anyway, so, whew, you know, people say what a pain in the butt this turbo inlet is to get off and to install and everything. Yeah, that thing was a pain. So it's hard to see, but anyway, so this is the firewall on this side. This is the front of the car, right? So it comes in this way. So the problem is this bolt right there, holy smokes, that thing's a pain. This one obviously is super easy to get off. So what I did is I wound up pulling this one off, pulling that one off, and then just getting my box wrench and just really trying to, you know, slowly but surely get to it. Now here's the other thing too, is look how small these little bolts are. These things are super tiny. So if you have one, I would highly suggest getting a little tiny grabber like that. So see, it's got the little claw on the end, because what I did is, because I didn't want to lose it down the engine bay, is I'm like, okay, let me snag that guy, let me snag that guy, and then let me snag that guy. Now here's the other thing that I was not prepared for. Is see that? There's a little mount for, where'd it go? That guy way down there. Look at that. This thing right here mounts to the bottom right there. So once I got all 3 of these stupid things out, I still had that one to contend with. Unbelievable. Anyway, so got it out. So now just do everything in reverse. And then look at little baby turbos. Little baby turbo. Before I forget, this is the flange that goes in between the turbo inlet and the turbo itself. Don't forget to reinstall that. All right, holy smokes, guys. So obviously, since the 6 element turbo inlet is way bigger than the stock one. I mean, if you want to do a comparison. I mean, anyway, so since the 6 element one is massively bigger, I ran into a problem trying to put that one, the bolt-on, back down there, because before there was enough room, but now since this is way bigger, there's no room. This one was obviously this easy. The one back here and the very back was actually about the same putting it on. It's just I had to take, you know, my 10mm box wrench there and basically put it on the back and just, I mean, we're talking like about that much movement trying to put it on. So anyway, was able to put it on. Also used the claw, this little claw thing right there, to put the screws in, so that way I didn't drop them down there, because that would have been a nightmare. But anyway, so this one down here was a nightmare. So I had to come up with this contraption right here. It's kind of hard to see. So I got a 10mm socket attached to a 6-inch extension, attached to a U-joint, attached to a 12-inch extension, attached to a, what is this, half-inch? No, quarter-inch. And basically what I did, sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed. So what all right, so what I did was I had to fish this thing. I'm trying to do it with one hand now, but I basically had to fish this under this oil line, or what is that? Yeah, it looks like an oil, some sort of vacuum line right here, hard line. Fish it underneath here, fish it under here, and go under here. And basically, I had the ratchet on this end, and I'm just tightening it that way. So anyway, extensions, U-joints, those are your friends. So now all we got to do now is I'm going to take this off down there, and then just start putting everything back together. All right, so I've got the turbo inlet on back here, and now I've got just the coupler right there, and then you're gonna put this piece, this carbon fiber piece, on just like that, just making sure it's nice and snug. And then basically what's gonna happen is we're gonna put this down here. This is gonna mate up down here. It's gonna get clamped on like so down here. It's gonna get clamped on down here, and then the filter's gonna get put on over here on this side. But then yeah, just button everything up, and then it should all be good to go. I was able to get the hose off for the blow-off valve down here. It's kind of tricky. It's got a really big kind of grommet on it, so it's going to be a little tricky. But just I used a heat gun and some PV blaster and just popped it off, and then yeah, but should all be good to go. So yep, turbo inlet, coupler, vacuum lines are back on. The main air inlet. It's hard to see, but there's the blow-off valve down there, coupler, pipe, everything's buttoned up. So yep, and then the heat shield right there just mounts right there. It seems loose, but it's okay because you got the coupler holding everything together. But yeah, guys, without a doubt, that turbo inlet is the worst. Everything else is very simple though. But yeah, drop a comment. Let me know if you got any questions.
Yeah.